Welcome to Bridging Civil Tension with Phil Wallace and Kent Jones. It's 9 a.m. on a Friday morning, and we thank the support. Thank Natural Therapy Wellness Center, Massage Therapy, Reflexology, Acupuncture, McHenryMassage.com, 815-385-8190 for their incredible, generous support of Bridging Civil Tension. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for getting caught in the net. Sorry we missed you last week. I was down in Florida. That's it. Down there. I actually was doing some kayaking on the backwaters.
I saw that.
It was fun. It was, and there were gators and everything. It was wonderful.
What?
Hey, you know what? You can't have a bridge without a little tension, right? That's how it maintains its span. And of course, we want to thank everybody who's commenting and part of this show. We absolutely love you for that. Thank you for joining us. And
we have Pete back.
Yeah, we got
We've
Pete.
missed you.
For a little bit. A little bit this morning.
For a little here.
That's fine.
Which is good.
You're always being here.
Right back at you, Bubba.
Now, you know what we should really start doing is we should really start recording the green room sessions. And then have those, Prince is coming out with an album. Did you know that?
What?
Yeah. So Prince has been dead 5 years, coming out with a brand new album.
Good on him.
Yeah. Of all the stuff he had kind of,
in the
in the vaults, right?
That's going to go crazy.
Oh, it's going to be nuts. Now, we should. I mean, the conversation in the green room was absolutely fantastic this morning. Yeah. Has really nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but it was great.
Yeah.
So we should start recording those because
we can always hit the record button if you want.
Yeah, I think it would be a blast. But one of the biggest thing that's on topic, I think, is how everybody's up in arms. How Major League Baseball moved the All-Star game from Atlanta, which took me 4 hours to get through.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez Louise.
Traffic?
60 miles outside of it.
Good luck with that.
Unbelievable. Anyway, moved it from Atlanta to Denver because of the voting laws that are in Georgia. Right. And again, we try not to be political, but it is a little bit of tension out there. And people are kind of going nuts about it. Right. Now, the Major League Baseball needed a reason to move it, obviously, and they chose that as the reason. What's your thought on that?
I'm still learning as far as like how the ins and outs and what all went into that. As far as them getting involved, I know that there was a comment that large corporations don't need to get involved in politics and stay out of it, which that I don't necessarily know if I agree with to an extent. Just because if you have that big of a platform, you get an opportunity to say something if you see something that you don't agree with. Well, and in a lot of other opportunities, corporations are a big push behind the scenes for politics. So I don't know if they necessarily
it's called lobbyists.
Right. I mean, if they're the ones funding a lot of the campaigning, I don't know if I would make that statement all the way around. But
so, and of course, the media has split it into now it's a Democratic Republican thing, and we have Republican mayors and I'm going to boycott. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting here thinking, the people who should be pissed off about this are the people in Atlanta. First of all, they don't just go on January 1 and go, All-Star game, Atlanta this year. What do you got? You guys think it's good?
Right.
No. This has been planned for years, maybe 5, 6, 7 years out. Right. And so Atlanta has been working on their infrastructure and making things work for the influx of people on this exciting weekend of baseball.
Right. Wasn't it something like $100 million was going to be lost by not having it in Atlanta?
Yeah. Now, if you ever been through Atlanta, they could use that extra,
100 million.
Yeah, injected into local. Hey, especially after last year, right? It injected into local restaurants, bars,
right?
And now it's gone, right? So really, the mayor and the people of Atlanta should really be up in arms about it,
right?
But yet we've made it into an R and a D type of a thing, and a lot of it is for what as much as I can see on those voter. On the voter, a lot of people are saying voter suppression. The new laws are voter suppression. And I don't know if that's true because it seems from what I've done some research, voting laws are a little bit stricter in Colorado than they are in Georgia.
Okay.
So we moved it from
Colorado, from Georgia
to
where it's less strict to where it is more strict in the name of restrictions.
Right. So to me, it's interesting that would happen. But the big part of this Georgia, and everybody knows the election and all that good stuff, right? The extra election that had to happen and whatnot, is that there are some that they're trying to say voter suppression, and they're trying to try to make this into a racial RD divide. I don't agree with it.
I don't understand the concept of this at all.
Of the move of the baseball game?
Yeah, I mean, why? I mean, they're saying because it's less racist in one place than another. Is that what they're actually trying to say?
No, what they're saying is that there are certain things in this law that, as far as how the voter process was going to be, that appeared to make things more difficult for people to vote in certain areas. So the MLB is saying this state has a history of this. We no longer agree with this. We're no longer going to tolerate this. If this is how this state is still going to proceed, we're going to do things elsewhere.
Well, I guess that's their choice for the MLB.
And that turned into a R versus D conversation versus right versus wrong conversation, or what you morally agree with versus what you don't.
To me, all it sounds like is an organization's a company, a major corporation, which the MLB is just their choice on where they want to operate.
Right.
And if that was the catalyst to move them to a new location from where they were doing whatever it was they were doing, right. I'm assuming playing baseball. I don't know jack crap about sports or anything like that.
Yeah.
But if that's the catalyst, then so be it. It's a business decision. How on earth is that a Republican versus Democrat thing? I don't.
Because people make it that way, or because it's a good reason to start an argument,
and
that's it, really.
And one of the things that was in the post or the article that Kent sent me was almost a threat to the MLB, saying you may not want to piss off most of your supporters, saying that since baseball is America's favorite pastime, America is suburban people, and most, if you're going to say most of them are Republican, that's their statement, not mine. Then you may not want to piss us off because we're the ones who fund what you do. So.
Well, then guess what? They can go find another audience. You don't have to go to the ball game if you don't want to go to the ball game. You don't have to go anywhere you don't want to go if you don't want to support what somebody is doing. But that's your choice. It doesn't have so what?
Right.
So what?
So well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that irks me is Major League Baseball has a right to do whatever they want to do with their product. That's fine. However, for the last 5 years, as a small business owner in downtown Atlanta, 3 blocks from the stadium, I have been preparing for this weekend. Infrastructure, everything, because I am going to make my next 5 years' income during the All-Star weekend. Okay. And now Major League Baseball says because of a political thing,
right,
we're out. We're taking it over to Denver. Okay. So where I see the tension, I don't care what the reason is. Right. You took it. They could have easily said we're moving it because of COVID and yada 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 yada. Right? We're moving it because of whatever.
Yeah.
The problem is they went to a political place, and right now the big stretch is voter suppression. And when we hear voter suppression, what do we think of?
Civil rights.
Civil rights. We think of people who can't vote, don't have the right to vote, can't get there to vote, right? You can't give them water or food while they're in line.
Someone got arrested for that, right?
Okay.
Not water.
What?
Yeah.
And that's where
wait. Somebody got arrested for handing out water. It is.
There was a politician
So,
who was trying to. I guess there was some sort of
circumstances.
He
was trying to.
No. There was certain circumstances that made what they had to go through to get in line tougher than certain areas.
Yeah.
So it was a little tougher in Elgin than it was in Crystal Lake to vote. So this, I think it was a senator or something like that, was trying to hand voters just water, just still saying we appreciate, and was arrested.
But they probably thought he was trying because there's no
buy votes. Yeah.
Right, he was trying to buy votes, and unfortunately, I could see that. I could see that because they say there's no polling or there's no.
There's no polling within a certain amount of feet.
Polling. There's no right. There's no.
And that's what the Georgia law states is.
Right.
Hey,
that's still
you
ridiculous.
Can't hand food or water to people in that.
And the fact that our world has actually come to something like that you can't hand out water to people that have to wait in the line because they're doing their American duty by voting. If somebody hands somebody hands me a water. And they think for one iota that I'm going to change my vote because somebody handed me a water. How stupid are you? How stupid do you think I am?
If I don't agree with most of the,
I'm not going to change my voting rules because you gave me a Coca-Cola or you gave me $100. I'm not changing my vote.
It could be Voss. I'm still not.
Right.
Still not going to change my political stance.
Right. I mean, for you to change your stance and your thoughts and your moral. Wow. Just your morals for a water? Right. Come on. But they're getting people. So now what they did is they made people start thinking about that. Wait, could they really do that? Do people really think that way? Are they serious?
So
it's not like you're giving them money, paying off their mortgage or, giving them free health insurance, something that really would potentially matter to them. You're giving them something to satiate their thirst.
So what this adds to is the racial divide, and here's what I'm saying, right? And is when you hear voter suppression, you don't think of Easy Street. You know what I mean? You don't think of the multimillionaires and their white mansions and whatnot. They always seem to find a way to vote. Right. You hear of the lower income areas and. So actually maybe class divide, right? And the media, Major League Baseball, everybody is continuing to drive that wedge into that, I think, because if you really look at the laws, President Biden talked about it and was like, hey, 5 o'clock, why are you closing at 5 o'clock? That's when people are getting off. Okay, that sounds good, but if you don't look at what the law says for early voting. It's not on election day. That's for early voting. Those polling stations will stay open until 5. That's for early voting. So if I missed it today, I can get there tomorrow on my day off. It's okay that it closed at 5. On election day, they actually are staying open until 7 or 8 or whenever the polls are supposed to close. So the media, Major League Baseball, is continuing to keep that, tearing more of that fabric, I think, of what's irritating and stressing out where the tension in America is right now. And that's bad to me. That's not good. It should have nothing to do with you have the right. Yes, you do. And you know what? And God bless all the athletes out there. You have the absolute right to, hey, I can't breathe, or voters' rights, or whatever you want to. The frustrating thing, and Scott, you're a small business guy. You're a small business guy. We're all small businessmen here. Is I planned for the last 5 years for this weekend, right? And it was going to make my next 5 years.
That's your gamble as a small businessman, though.
And you took it away.
You don't know how the world is going to change you, and you have that's something you have to take into your daily.
To me, that's just poor business planning. I mean, I get, Kent, exactly what you're saying.
Making the one event
but you're, if you are relying on another company to drive another company, another organization to drive your business for the next. And I completely understand what you're saying. You need to go back to your marketing plan, your business plan, and figure out how else to generate your income stream. Because again, any other business has their right to operate any way they want to operate. It's if I am going to say, okay, you know, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to rely on Target or Kmart or Sears to generate all our income, we'd be SOL at this very moment. I mean,
it's a poor business decision putting all your eggs in one basket.
When I built my coffee shop, I did research, and you could put a coffee shop right next door to the big Starbucks, and guess what? You'll get 40% of their business.
You will,
just because you're right next door, and there's not as big a lines.
Right. Well, and you're a small business, and people have the heart to support small businesses, and they'd rather pay a little bit more because you are the fabric of society.
But I'm saying you're going to miss that.
You're one of them.
You had the lottery ticket in your hand. You had and that's because you chose to work in downtown Atlanta, and you chose to work right, and you're excited about the All-Star Weekend. Here it comes, baby. Man, we hit this. Right? Now, what Major League Baseball dubbed is
you just hedged the wrong bet, though, is all that boils down to.
Yeah, Walgreens versus CVS. Okay, right. Look at that. CVS is always across the street.
Always across the street from a Walgreens.
Right. And that's because it's a brilliant marketing.
Right.
Oh, Walgreens.
So when it works, it's brilliant. When it's not,
well, no, it's always brilliant. But you have to understand, like this guy, this company you're talking about, it's not a good marketing idea to put all your eggs in one basket. For you to rely pure and simply on just this one event.
No, I'm not saying that's all you're relying on, but
it sounds like this is kind of their thing, right? So, I mean, they should have been more diversified,
especially after 2020. Right?
Not even just necessarily 2020, just being more diversified.
I'm saying with the small businesses being destroyed.
Right.
Happened with the riots.
Right. Well, now I'm excited because here we come.
Okay, well then let's take a look at a very local, very real example. Motorola and Harvard, Illinois.
Yep.
Done.
And once upon a time, Motorola built a beautiful facility, huge campus.
1.1 million square feet.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And then Motorola just didn't hang. It tanked. But it brought an enormous amount of jobs. It brought other small businesses to Harvard, all because, hey, it was going to have a huge workforce.
They hedged a big bet.
It hedged a huge bet. And then Motorola was there. What, did that even last 5 years?
No,
they did.
They did. It was only like a 2-year stint that they were actually doing anything, because that was supposed to be their main manufacturing facility.
Yeah, it was.
Then they realized that it was cheaper to pay someplace else to manufacture their phones.
Yeah.
And take the tax, the tariffs to get it done.
My wife actually worked there for a week. 1 week.
Shitty company to work for, by the way.
And it doesn't matter the story behind that, but it worked there for 1 week and it didn't work out. But at any rate, that's a very, very local, very real example of what happens when you hedge everything a lot on one other giant corporation. And I understand why people do that, and I understand the thought process behind it. But at the same time, in fact, I was at lunch with a local dignitary yesterday, and we actually talked about the fact that our county and our community right here needs more population. We need more housing, but we need more housing that can accommodate people who need affordable housing, people who are working. We have a very huge need for a large workforce that is not making huge dollars, but it's a little above minimum wage, but there's a huge need for it. There's not enough housing to accommodate the people who would fill those roles. So we need more housing to attract workers, which we don't have, especially in this industrial park right across the street from us. There are many, many somewhat large area employers.
Big time.
So you have to have all of this stuff in place in order to support an economic market, which we have. We've had a really tough time here in the area.
But we can't bring the housing in because of voter laws here.
Well, and see there,
bureaucracy.
So
what's in it for me?
You can't do it because of the voter laws. We feel that the voter laws are suppressing those exact people who need affordable housing.
Well, and part of it too is they're trying to keep they're wanting to escalate.
Who's they?
The people that vote and the politicians of the area, right? To try to bring McHenry up to a higher standard, don't wanting lower income housing.
Why not?
Because that's not where the money comes from.
But
that's where the feeling and the thought, right? But that's where the feeling comes from that if you bring in low income housing,
it's that
ideology. You bring in a more undesirable individual, which will lower the value of the area, which people don't want to move to and shop to. They're trying. McHenry wants to be a destination.
What is a less desirable individual?
Lower income.
Why? Because
of the perception of somebody that makes less money that they are troublesome, that they are problematic, that they are a minority, that they are right. So, and this is an unfortunate thing that people. This is how a lot of people think, and it's unfortunate because they're not really questioning why they want this done. They're just okay. You told me it makes sense. Well, does it really make sense?
Does it bother you as a business owner, as a multi-business owner in this city, to have low-income housing? You don't have to answer that.
Well, no. I mean, that's a loaded question.
Sure
but I mean, yes and no. I think everybody has a right to live wherever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Right. But there is also places where this is the environment that they want to foster, and in order to foster that environment, these are the parameters in which we need to live by. Doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right, but it's what people allow them to do by voting and laws and rules.
I'm trying to say this not as a black person. It's interesting as a person from Crystal Lake. How do I say this?
Just say it.
Just say it.
Say it though, because I live in Crystal Lake now too.
Right. In the Fox Valley area, McHenry's looked at like minorities. It's not the high class Huntleys. It's not the Barringtons. It's not the Crystal Lake. The people of Crystal Lake that I've heard talk about McHenry, it's almost like this is the poorer working class live in McHenry. So it's almost that you guys get looked at like us. So then to hear, we don't want you here to another group, I find that ironic because I'm like, well, why does everyone treat McHenry like this? And I'm hearing that McHenry wants to treat more people like this. Because to the richer people from like the Prairie Ridge side of the Huntley, you guys are the poor people.
Yeah, McHenry is largely considered low rent. McHenry itself, McHenry County for the Chicagoland, Milwaukee region, McHenry County, Kenosha County, and Walworth County are like the outlier borders here in the Northwest from all of that are considered the low rent, low wage, lower income counties.
That's crazy.
I'm from Kentucky.
But yet our taxes are through the friggin' roof.
Lake, they're from McHenry. You get whispered like when someone says the word black. Like,
but that's crazy because our taxes in McHenry County are insane.
I understand. And just like you're like, no, we're people just like you're people. I hear you.
Yeah.
Trust me, I understand.
And the word I hear you, but I also feel you.
Right, I feel you.
But hey, I'll say it. McHenry gets the bad rap. Thanks, Melissa. Absolutely. Atlanta, how are you?
She did say,
I know. I'm on the show. I couldn't answer the phone call. Saw you. Yeah. See, Wonder Tucky. Absolutely, right on. And I will say that to people when I'm in Crystal Lake, Barrington, Schaumburg, because you know, right? And hey, where are you from? Well, I'm from Wonder Lake. Wonder Lake, kind of between Woodstock and McHenry, and they go, they give you that look like. Oh, you know,
in the armpit.
Yeah. Well, and because I'm showing up in my 1972 El Camino.
Well, here's the reason that happens or is the perception comes from like Wonder Tucky, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have a lot of rules and regulation as to what goes. You buy your house here, we don't give a shit what you do. So that's why there's 8 million broken down cars sitting in their yards. They don't care if they put up a shitty fence. They don't care if they have motor homes.
Those are storage containers.
Okay, whatever, right? But they don't have the rules.
That's an outdoor like the closet, we call it.
Right, like the neighborhood I live in, you can't have anything outside.
Yeah, Derek says,
no storage.
Yeah, there's good and bad in every town. Even Barrington has a quote-unquote bad area. Yeah, those are the people who only make $100,000. I live in Buffalo Grove, same thing, Cook County side at Verse Lakeside. Yeah, absolutely. I'm kidding about that, people down there. just
but yeah, it's right. It comes down to what you're trying to what the local politicians want to allow, right?
I once had a Ranchero.
Oh yeah,
me too, man. 67 Ranchero, little 289, zippy.
But and that's why baseball moved, right? And but I love what you're saying. Is that all of a sudden now people in McHenry are like, oh, low income people. No, that's going to bring drugs, prostitution,
which is already here.
It's gangs
already here. Meth.
It's going to destroy our beautiful town.
People don't know about the drug problem in Fox Valley, though.
They don't. Meth and crack are freaking nuts here.
Every time I go to a Leadership of Greater McHenry County event and we hear from the different, there's so
you don't realize it, but you can if you actually open your eyes, people. And I've got to get rolling, but open your eyes, question everything. The shit that you will actually see by just really taking your time and not staying in your life and having your blinders on. Drive around. Look at how many people are standing up. Go behind Aldi in McHenry.
Mm-hmm.
And see our tent village. Mm-hmm. Most people don't even know it's there.
No, the amount of homeless people that blocks it.
Right, the amount of homeless people living back there is crazy.
Used to go 4-wheeling back there.
Yeah, I mean, I never realized the magnitude of it either. I mean, and
what are we going to do with all those homeless people now when we put in those apartments back there?
I mean,
listen,
it's nuts.
Listen. If this gives an opportunity for somebody to better their life and they're low income, let's do it. What's wrong with that? Thank you. I think that's a brilliant thing, right? But it is interesting how quickly, What did she say, Phil? What were you saying about
what's LGMC?
So Leadership of Greater McHenry County.
Oh, I thought that was like an LBT thing.
No. Well played. No, just we get a chance to meet with different organizations around McHenry County, and we meet with people with drug corporations and non-for-profits and prevention. We did an event yesterday about drug prevention in our community, and it is rampant. Like, what you're afraid of is already here, and it's not for minorities.
Right. Don't be afraid of it. Try to help it.
Yeah. Right. If you're afraid of Marcus bringing weed, just understand that Timmy has a lot of other drugs.
And it's legal now anyway, so who cares?
McHenry County has a huge opioid.
Right.
Huge opioid
now
problem.
They've made great strides.
They have made phenomenal
great strides, but where they were is at higher levels in the neighborhoods that people point their nose at.
Yeah.
So please understand, if you're concerned about again like the weed problem, but you have an opioid epidemic, and I'm not making light of it or fun of it, then we can't look down on other communities if we have struggles and problems in our own community. And if it's already here from the non-minority crowd, please stop being so terrified of minorities coming here to bring what's already here to your backyard.
Gentlemen, thanks for letting me sit. Actually, I got something to bring back to you. But thanks for letting me sit in.
Did you have a backpack or anything?
No, but I do have some stuff for you guys.
All right, thanks. All right. Yeah, bring it in. And that's kind of what I'm saying on the whole All-Star thing is they've chosen to. And they should. I mean, I don't know why you would choose a political reason to bounce.
Yeah, right.
Listen, it's what you're saying now is, hey, if you disagree with that law and there's voter suppression, wouldn't you want to stay there to support it and scream about it for that weekend?
they're not going to be allowed
instead of getting out of there.
They're not going to be allowed to have a voice, but
right. But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, get a chance to bring awareness to it.
I think it's a cop out. But if you're a business person, a person, the mayor, whatever, you have to be just. Why are other? I'm seeing other people. Oh, I'm gonna boycott. Well, it has nothing to do. Oh, nice. Ooh. It has nothing to do with.
This is not something I can eat either.
That's right.
You can.
Dog treats.
Dog treats.
So
have a great day. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
But in what you've essentially done, you've kept them down,
right?
Where they had a chance to prosper, perhaps, and move into a good direction. Now you're keeping them down.
True.
Right. That's the way that I see it. That's the way I see it. What's Jamie? What we say, James? So proud to know you, Phil Wallace. So awesome to see you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
All love, man.
We all do, and so I think that, and that's why I love the green room talk too. Is I think, and I absolutely hate the word woke. I hate it, right? Because it's an easy cop out.
Very.
Right? It's like saying, hey, man, I only buy my wife flowers on Valentine's Day. That's an easy cop out. But buy them on a Wednesday in March if you love her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't buy her flowers at all because she'd rather have the $50.
Yeah, right.
She was very, very specific on that.
There you go.
So when I say that, our choices are lifestyles, and Mary Shep really helped me understand that. I'm a deacon, but I don't go around hitting people with the Bible and just quoting verses. It's my lifestyle.
That would be frowned upon.
The Bible, sir, is extremely accurate, especially at close range.
Yeah.
I missed you.
Right? So loving everybody, not being racist, not being political, an RRD, right? Not having that division in your life is not a word. It's a lifestyle. Right? Am I fighting for those low-income houses now because it could give people a better opportunity in life? Or am I just sitting there going, oh, we'll see what happens?
No, okay, I get exactly what you're saying.
Right.
I think we should encourage the support of the people who are driving our economy. The lower wage earner, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are or aren't, what your skill level is or isn't. If that is your job and you're doing it to the best of your ability, freaking good on you.
Yeah.
And we should be able to support you within the community because you're providing a service to the employers who have the job for you here. And that's going to send you over to our local retailers. And it's this wonderful thing called the free market and economic support and development. That's how this freaking works. And because people don't want this shit in their back, excuse me, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Don't want this stuff.
Turn up.
How do you miss this show? Rearrange your schedule. Make yourself fire up.
But people get this attitude of, I don't want this in my backyard. Do it, but not in my backyard.
That's right. But that's okay. So here's what we were talking about. Hey, glad to see you, Gary. Thanks for coming in. Here's what we were talking about in the green room. As I was going down south, and I'm just we're going to shift gears a little bit here because it was an intense.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Going what we were talking about, Chris Lake and McHenry.
Yeah.
One of the conversations would be, okay, well, if the workers from McHenry don't work for this company that your parents commute to from Crystal Lake, and your parent doesn't have a job. Appreciate the hard work these people do because they also manufacture supplies that you need comfortably in your office.
Yes.
So how can you turn your nose at the people who are doing the work that makes this whole economy run?
Thank you. Yes.
And listen, they're not asking for a handout. They're busting. Have you seen, like, I did staffing, so I know we staffed for manufacturing positions and Chris, you know the same thing.
Yeah.
What they have to do for a check compared to what they have to do was night and freaking, I dare you to sit, TC, I'm not sure he's the one in front of a 120-degree furnace for 12 hours, 12-hour shifts, 4 days on, 3 days. You can't.
For $14 an hour.
For $14 an hour.
It's just hard
work.
Labor. It's hard work, and you're getting $14 an hour for it, and people say that's good money.
But we're turning our nose up at them.
Yeah.
Because McHenry was beneath this town. I did not understand that at all. But yes, going back
right.
to it.
So I want to shift directions because of a situation that I was in on Wednesday. Okay. But what we were talking about in the green room is I was heading south, just kind of north of the Florida-Georgia line. Not the singing group, but the actual Florida-Georgia line. There is
Florida-Georgia line. Sorry.
That's right.
I don't know who that is.
He's not a country guy. So there's a big manufacturer there, and they are flying a Confederate flag, the size of the American flag that goodies do. You know, the RV Camp World, whatever. Right. No American flag, no Georgia flag, just a huge Confederate flag by itself, waving over the pines.
Mm-hmm.
And for years and years and years,
very visible,
right? Very, very visible. And when I would drive down there, I would see it before this show, and I'd be like, that's cool. Hey, Dukes of Hazzard, good old boys there. And this time I go by and I'm like, wow, that's bizarre, because there is no American flag, there is no Georgia flag. It's just this saying, hey,
we're here,
right? So in the green room, and Scott was here, and we'll pick on Scott a little bit, but he'll come back.
He'll come back.
But I said, okay, I go to Winnetka with my company, and I fly the swastika, the same size of that flag. No American flag, no Illinois flag, and I just fly the swastika. I have the right to do that. Okay.
Would that be for German pride?
I guess, right? Yeah, something. I don't know, Nazi pride. I don't know, right? Is that good? And the consensus in the green room was like, wait a minute. Well, that's brilliant marketing down south. Boy, that's wrong up here. And that's because we as people have said, okay, Nazi bad.
Mm-hmm.
And
that symbol's bad.
That symbol's bad because, boy, there was mass genocide and hurt a lot of people. But we're okay with the Confederate flag because that's just the South. And I'm like, yeah, but you are American through and through. And they wanted to secede from the Union.
Right. They could be flown on Capitol buildings. We have no problem with that.
So it hit me differently. But here's the question I have for people about being quote unquote woke and whatnot. So I'm at a referral group, and there's a brilliant young man who's there just breaking his way into the insurance field.
Okay.
And I look at him and I think I know him. I think I know him. I'm not sure. And so I go up to him and I'm like, you and I met. I know you. I said, what's your name? And he says, Theory. I said, oh, okay. I know you. He goes, you do? I go, I don't know why I know you, but I know you, right? And he's like, well, I went to Woodstock. No, that's it. Yeah, you graduated behind my daughter. You played football. That's why I know you, right? He goes, yeah, okay. So what are you doing? So, how you been, things. And he's breaking into the insurance field. Great, great young guy. And he goes, what I really love is my artwork. And I really want to get my artwork into some galleries and whatnot. I'm like, oh man, that is incredible. I know a guy, and we had, I don't know, the one over here in town, the little gallery that they run over there, by across from Smith's Garage. And I'm like, that's cool. You guys made that connection. I go, I got a buddy, or I know a guy in Chris Lake, and I can see his card, and I can't think of anything. I said, but he's got a gallery, and it's got a lot of African artwork and whatnot, right? Now,
Ubuntu?
What?
Is it Ubuntu?
Yeah, Ubuntu, right? And so I go, oh, shit. Because Theory is African American.
Right.
And now I feel bad, or I don't know what to feel, because I said, the guy I know.
You don't want to do the move. I know someone that you just love.
So
you guys would have a lot.
And that's part of the quote unquote being woke. I shouldn't feel bad because this is a good connection. And the only way I can describe it is, but now in the back of my mind, I'm having that conversation. Oh, you fucking idiot. You brought up African. Oh, because he's black. He's thinking you only brought it up because I'm, so I'm having this entire dialogue in my head.
But it's every event.
Right? And I'm trying not to have the look on my face like the oh shit look on my face going, shit, idiot, white guy. You know what I'm saying?
You're the white guy that just met a black guy. And you're like, you know what? I know another black guy. You know another one.
I just feel like you guys would be really good friends.
Oh my God. Right, and
that's exactly how I know Abantu because I've been introduced to every single person.
Yes. So and he's brilliant.
He's awesome.
He's brilliant, right? And he does so much for young artists.
He really does.
And I'm just like, this would be great. And
we had a 2.5 hour conversation. It was awesome.
And as funny as
I don't think you should feel bad for that at all because of exactly who he is, the fellow you want to introduce him to, and what he's done for young artists. I think that's entirely appropriate. Yeah. I get why you're battling that in your head, but I don't think you should feel bad about that at all because of you know what this guy does for other, and and that's okay. It's all right. You're going to give him a connection that's going to be providing some support.
But I could have just left it at I know a guy, Chris Lake's got a gallery for you. There's a lot of Africa. You're just like, God.
And perhaps
did you see how we were playing Guess Who? You're like, a guy in Chris Lake, does art, African. Oh, yeah, Bantu.
But and you don't know if Theory does, mountainside landscapes.
I really don't. I don't.
Plainsman artwork.
And I think he's a brilliant young man, Theory is, right? And I'm excited for his career. And hopefully we can do something with his artwork, help him out that way too. Absolutely. But as we're doing this, that's why I say I don't like the necessarily word woke. But as we're battling this, I'm noticing, I feel differently now about this big flag of what it represents.
Right.
Differently than I would have before. And now I'm like, where I wouldn't have thought twice about, he does mainly African work, you're just like, now I'm like, and all night I'm like, he went home. He's like, fucking white people. God, stupid idiots.
You know what? I believe if he's who I'm thinking of, I think he was actually at Friday Mornings with Pete right when he was fresh out of high school.
Theory? Yeah, maybe.
Really? It would have been just about
might have been
2 years ago or so, 2, 3, somewhere like
that.
Yeah.
So 4 or 5. Time goes by.
Yeah, time goes by. But I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking
So
about.
you know what I mean?
Right.
And that makes it very uncomfortable. I probably should have addressed, but then you do the backpedal. Hey, man, I'm not racist. What I was just saying was this is what,
As long as you can see the commonality of it, then it's like, okay, it makes sense. I play basketball. Zoe coaches basketball. Okay, cool. That's why we're introducing each other to coach. But if it's like this person does landscaping and this person does engineering, it's like, but you guys should meet just because you're both
right.
Then it's kind of like why
Germans.
Yeah.
Right. All right, thanks.
All right,
so it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing. I think the battle now is: can I say something like that, or can I not? Should I have stopped it right after art gallery? It's like Mary said a couple weeks ago. It was like, I was working with this beautiful young black lady. Well, why do we have to put black in there?
Right.
Why? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So as you see, I went through with Theory without.
But I think that especially as you build these relationships, you can then go back. Like obviously, because of the relationship me and you have, we can say almost anything. We can say anything.
Anything, right?
Anything to each other. And then you have listen. I do the show that made me think of this is just so you know that it wasn't because of that. It's just because I think that you two are both amazing people in artwork and gallery. And then it's not awkward. I think on the front end, though, he can still just see your intentions of who you are as a person. But if you build that relationship, go back and say, like, hey, listen, just so you know, That way they, in case.
Right.
Good.
Right. So I mean, and that's the battle I think that a lot of people will have, and it kind of goes on both sides. It's not just us white folk who are having the issue.
I there's lots of times where I'm like, okay, can I? You guys tell me, say it. Like, I don't know if I should.
It's your show,
which is awesome,
right?
Which is awesome,
and I think it's so tough. It's so tough to, and my personality is and everybody who knows me knows I don't ever want anybody to be unhappy.
Right.
I want everybody to feel good.
Yeah. All the time. That's why we joke so much.
Right. And so when it's, when it comes to things like that, I can make it sound funny, but I was really uncomfortable with what I did.
I think the good part of you saying it, and also, again, maintaining a relationship to have the conversation, is you can see what your authentic self is and then make the correction, right? Because if you don't say it, then you don't think that you're the type of person who says those things, when you may be the type of person who would say it, then be like, okay, this is how I can moving forward. Just like missing a jump shot, right? That felt weird. Okay, let me do this next time. Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it bothered me all night. He probably didn't even think twice about it. We love you, Theory.
Yeah, man. But he goes to social events in Crystal Lake. We're used to.
There you go. So and that's kind of the rub, the run, and when I see big corporations doing things politically, quote unquote, out in public, and I don't think it's because of that.
The thing that stood out to me with the article and how it was spun, there's a lot of hit and miss, and there's a lot of we can say this, we shouldn't say this. Politicians can do this, companies shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
Then they should step in. Why aren't they saying more? They should shut the heck up, right? To hear how certain people were talking about Atlanta when things were bad. Now those same people supposedly care about Atlanta. And the thing that stood out to me was, they're going to say, well, the $100 million is going to miss out on those communities that were damaged. And we've been having this conversation, right? Yeah. That would be like saying if the All-Star game and the Cubs were playing, a lot of the Cubs players were in Chicago, and baseball fans are going to come to Chicago. How many of those baseball fans are going to Harold's Chicken on the South Side?
Right.
They're probably going to go to Giorgio's Pizza.
Yep.
Safely.
Right there in Wrigleyville.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you've know Atlanta and you know what the neighborhood around the Braves Stadium looks like,
right,
they're not shopping locally.
Sure.
So you know where they're going to go. You know that it's not those communities that need it. Please don't pretend like you care.
Yeah.
Because those who live in that community are like, they're not finna go here. Please let Pete's not like Pete would, but right. In most situations, they're not going to the restaurants that are around Brave Stadium. I don't go to the restaurant.
Right. Well, it's like the Sox too, right?
Right.
You're okay. You're okay in that parking lot,
but it's if you make a right. Certain parts, United Center. You go to this direction. You're safely to the highway. You go. No one's gonna go to those restaurants, baseball fan style.
Sure, but I mean, there are. I mean, the it's the trickle down effect, I guess, that I look at, right? Political views are political hidden agenda, always not in favor of what they're saying.
Right.
Yeah, and then
should there be a separation of politics from sports, or can it be done practically? I think politics can. I mean, if we're going to applaud tweets directed at sports, then we can't not allow sports to say stuff back, and we have to pick and choose how we're going to go about that. I think that there should be where politics should be involved and show that they are caring about certain issues. It shouldn't always be angrily against speaking non-violently out on certain topics, but that's just me.
So how I guess I would answer that question is, I have a product that's non-political that I deliver to.
Right.
I don't ask when you're buying a ticket, are you an RRD
for a sports game?
For a sports game.
Right. As it should be.
So perhaps I shouldn't make a stance on a political, right? I can be, and I probably have hired people to do that and, lobby and do things like that. But because my product is non-denominational, non-racial, I mean, hey, choose COVID, choose something that affects everybody.
Right.
Instead of making it a political thing.
Well, you're not allowed to speak morally without being accused politically.
Correct.
I can't say I'm not for this happening to these people. Well, you're a Democrat. Well, no, I just, to be honest, we don't know enough about this or this to know which one I am.
I just
don't think this is okay.
Yeah.
So I think that when it is, this person spoke out about this topic, and now these are just this group saying this poison to brain, we can't be so quick to just dismiss the topic.
Right.
In the name of politics and D's and R's.
Right. And even the Olympics were spared. I think that's Gary from Singapore. Even the Olympics were spared from political issues, boycotted 6 times in history. Yeah. And that's a world stage.
Right.
So I can get that because there's democracies, there's non-democracies. I mean, that's a lot of different things, and I guess I say that as hypocritical as anything else, right? Is I've learned to accept it,
right?
And here's my excuse for accepting those boycotts. And Derek says, yeah, everything has politics involved. It does now because that's what the media spins. BLM is now a political thing.
Right. Versus just
right. I mean,
socially acceptable.
Yeah. Blue Lives Matters.
That's our thing now.
Right. Hey, here we go. It's a political thing, right? Yeah, and that's all in the, I guess, the agenda or the narrative. But I think that the issue being, not this media, not here on 21.6 The Net. Derek says, wait, media lies? Not here on 21.6 The Net, right? And it's all the wedge that people want to drive into. So many people are upset and they don't want to have a conversation. This is what bridging civil tension is.
Right.
They just want to continue to argue
and argue. Continue to throw the invitation out there to anyone who wants to have a conversation, not just through conversation that you hit the send button, but actual phone call,
voice to
voice, streaming.
Yeah,
welcome all the time to have a conversation.
You're always, if you ever want to jump on this show, you're always welcome to. We can bring you in. We'll click a link, whatever. The big thing being is I was just flabbergasted at that big that on the way down and the way back, and I was just like, man, that's weird to me.
Right.
And now,
but if you look at, and this is kind of how things go, it's acceptable there, so it'll be acceptable next door, and then next door to them, and then next door to them, and next door to them, and it continues to make it uncomfortable for other people who live in that community. It's easy to say it's just accepted. As a person who's lived in those states, no, it isn't.
So last night on Derek's show, the Bare Facts on Guns, Thursday evenings at 6, right here at 21.6 The Net, we kind of talked a little bit about that, about how passive that happens, right? So how do you boil a frog? You put it in cool water and you bring it up to a boil and then you kill that frog. You try to throw a frog into boiling water. It hits that water. It's like, hell no, it's hot, right? And that's where we've come with a lot of this, right? To your point, it's okay here. It's okay here. Now we're all just right. So when somebody speaks out, when there is a mob of people that loot and riot, you're trying to throw frogs into boiling water.
Right.
We don't see it as boiling water because we've been in it since it was cool.
Right.
Why are you getting it? Whoa, look at these people. They're doing wrong stuff. Oh, this is, no, we're just trying to throw a frog into boiling water.
I'm tired of being cooked.
Right. And there's always a money trail. You just got to look for it. You got to follow the money, right? Where's the money been? In whose hands? Rockefellers. Oh. So the idea is, I think, the idea I think is, we all got to kind of believe that the water's boiling now. And if you understand the water's boiling, you've been in it since it was cool, you're cooked a bit, right? That's where, and listen, for years when I would drive down to Florida, I'd see that big flag and go, I love the Dukes Hazzard. Yeehaw! Good old boys down here. Look at that. Right. Now I'm like, ooh, mass genocide with people and lynchings, and that means a whole different thing when you open up your mind and you start looking at it, realizing that, oh man, I was boiled into this, right? What's Derek say there? Derek says, one right gone, no big deal. One at a time, all our rights will be gone. Need to fight for each and every right we have. Absolutely. Now, keep in mind, it's a couple hundred years old, this little rock that we're on here, right? This planet, or not the planet, but actually the continent, right? And we came in and we took it from Asian and Indian, and he came and landed somewhere Plymouth Rock on the east side of this big thing,
right?
And we're naive enough to believe that nothing was on the west side of this big thing, which is a hop and a skip from Asia, South Asia,
right?
And so we got to understand, we've been in this water, warm, cooking. And now we're grabbing some people and trying to throw them in here, and they're like, no,
this water is uncomfortable.
And so you have to start kind of expanding and going, okay, is this good for the whole? Is this not good for the whole? Oh my gosh! Well, let's put a different spin on it. Let's hey, let me fly. I have the right. This is America. I have every right to fly a swastika. But that's bad here.
That'd be bad.
And
it goes from freedoms to morally wrong.
Yeah.
For that flag.
Yeah. Quickly.
Almost non-debatably. There's no, well, this is just German pride. Well, this person maybe had a relative that was on that side of the war. There's none of that.
No.
It's wrong. Period. For that flag.
They were the enemy.
Yeah.
Ooh, we had a civil war, bloodiest war in American history. Who was the enemy? All right. Anyway, we're running quick on time. The whole idea is, folks, if you see something out there that you want, that people are afraid to talk about, that and without getting too political, there will be some crosses, as Derek says. You know what? Everything's kind of political now,
right? And
as he says, things do change, but we can't ignore the fact that we left wherever we came from to find greener grass. Can't lose hope. Yeah, hey man, this is the American dream, right? Land of the free, home of the brave. Everybody's got equal rights. All men are created equal. And ladies now too, and both them, they.
Okay. Right.
But however, so what I'm saying is, and I'm going to just take a quick minute here, this last minute or so, to say thanks to all the people who throw comments up throughout the week and whatever. This is what makes this a brilliant show.
Right.
These conversations, and again, we're open. You reach out, gmail.com, 216 at Gmail. Reach out.
Phil Wallace on Facebook.
Make a comment here. Phil and I are watching it all the time. We'd love to have a conversation with you. If you want to be part of the show, come on in. Let us know.
Message directly. Say you'd love a conversation. I will gladly provide a number. Hop on the phone to anyone who would like to talk and have that conversation.
Yeah.
I'm opening my line for dialogue with a smile on my face while I do it.
That's it. Hey, we're glad to be back in studio. Yep, Melissa, love you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week, and we'll see if we can't rile up some more people, poke some more bears. But you know what? Tune in tomorrow morning at 9:30 for Lana Duncan Hartgraves, the Master Psychic. Her show is great, The Metaphysical Meanderings. And then come back on Sunday for a great show, Lisa's Changing Perceptions. And tonight at 8, tune in to Dream Home Experts. There you go. We got a lot of stuff cooking. Love you. Thanks, guys.